Lots of excitement in the room tonight. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please. Mr. Titus.
Mr. Cooney. Dr. Cordolino. Mr. Brown.
Here.
Dr. Kane.
Here.
Mr. Mazzucaro.
Here.
Mr. Morello.
Here.
Mrs. Novi. Mr. Palmer.
Here.
Mrs. Ritchell.
Here.
Shannon Chang.
Here.
And Zion Petit.
Here.
Form President.
Thank you, Mr. Titus. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jim, please read the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law Statement.
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Montville Township Board of Education approved this meeting date. Notice of the meeting has been posted at the municipal building, all Montville Public Schools, the Montville Public Library, the Montville Township Board of Education Administrative Office Building, the Montville Public School website, and advertised in the Daily Record.
Thank you very much, Mr. Titus. Tonight is a very, very special occasion, which we're going to get to in just a moment. But at this time, what I would like to do is to introduce our new student representatives who sit on the board and represent the student body of Montville Township High School. Not all school districts in the state of New Jersey have student reps, and we feel privileged and honored that we do, and that you're here tonight. We have Shannon Chang and Zayan Kadri. So if you would please feel free to give your report.
Good evening, everyone. For the sports section, we have Montville Township High School has been undergoing numerous renovations, including both the boys and girls locker room, the floor of the old gym, the football field's food shack, and the football field's press box. The girls varsity volleyball team's record is 6-1 and is ranked number 7 in Group 3. The girls varsity tennis is currently undefeated. Tennis team is currently undefeated and is ranked number 8 in the state. The girls varsity soccer record is 2-3. Boys varsity soccer record is 2-1-3, and the boys varsity football record is 1-1.
So currently, regarding our school's clubs, the club fair took place on September 18th, which was last Wednesday, during both halves of lunch. Students were introduced to many different clubs that Montville Township High School has to offer, including Key Club, Make-A-Wish, History Club, Environmental Club, Robotics, FBLA, Forensics, ICC, etc. Key Club recently raised over $1,000 at Back to School Night in their parking lot auction, and all proceeds will go to Project Eliminate. And this past weekend, Forensics traveled to Yale, where Josh Feldman was a semifinalist in humorous interpretation, James Burnett was a semifinalist in dramatic interpretation, Claire Sullivan and Christina Castellas were quarterfinalists in the same category. Noah Weinkosh was a quarterfinalist in original oratory. Jay Sarow and Monica Kosh were semifinalists in extent. Christine O was a quarterfinalist in that category, and Ben Gaddiosi broke into varsity LD in the Douglas Hopkins finals. Regarding our school in general, on Back to School Night, which took place on Wednesday, September 18th as well, that was a complete success. Members of PAL, Key Club, SAC, and Student Council all came in dressed semi-formally to help out with directing parents to their classrooms. Also, recently, 5 seniors were named semifinalists in the National Merit Scholarship Program. This is a program where approximately 16,000 students nationwide are qualified as semifinalists. These academically talented high school seniors have an opportunity to continue in competition for some 8,000 National Merit Scholarships, which are worth about $35 million, and that'll be launching next spring. The 5 students from Montville Township High School are Kevin Heat, Claire Kim, Les Suarez, Eileen Yu, and Danielle Zhang.
And what we're looking forward to right now is the Fall Pep Rally, which is officially scheduled to take place October 4th, which is also the first day of the first varsity home game and an official ribbon cutting ceremony. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There might be a change of date in the dedication ceremony or the ribbon cutting ceremony for the turf field. So just keep your ears to the ground.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So tonight is a very special night. because tonight we're honoring a very special educator. A woman who spent the entirety of her 45-year professional career here in Montville Township, and who spent the last 8 years as the principal of Hilldale School. Marian Dispensary retired in June, and shortly thereafter, the board received 21 persuasive essays from Mrs. Minsky's third grade class, asking the board to rename the school in Miss D's honor. We thought about it and thought the best way to pay tribute to Miss D and to her contributions to education and to Hilldale School would be to dedicate the Media Center in her honor. Because the Media Center is the intellectual center and soul of any school. If there are any of Mrs. Minsky's former third graders, now fourth graders here, would you please stand and be recognized? You planted the seed that brought us to this occasion. Shortly, we will recess to unveil the dedication plaque, but before we do that, the board has prepared a resolution which will officially mark this dedication ceremony. I will read the resolution now, and Board President Dr. Matt Kane, Board Vice President Dr. Matt Kane will hand the resolution to you, Mrs. D, so come on up. Whereas Marianne M. Dispensary was a former principal in the Township of Montville, and whereas Marianne M. Dispensary was a dedicated employee for 45 years and has been a mentor, educator, and respected principal of the Hilldale Elementary School, and whereas Marianne Dispensary is now retired from the Montville Township School District, and whereas Marianne M. Dispensary has dedicated her entire professional career to the guidance and successful education of the students of the Montville Township Public Schools, now therefore be it resolved that the Montville Township Board of Education, this, the 24th day of September 2013, recognizes and applauds the innovation, dedication, and hard work of Marianne M. Dispensary for the honor and distinction she has brought to her family, school, and community in her 45 years of service to our school district, and dedicates and names the Media Center at Hilldale School to be called and recognized as the Marianne M. Dispensary Media Center.
I could just say a few words. First of all, last year when I retired, I was really overwhelmed by all the things that were done for me by my students, parents, staff, and community. And I really thought nothing could top that. And I must say tonight, this is really, guys, for the cherry on the Sunday. You just never know how much this means to me. My whole career was spent in Montville, not just in education, but in recreation. I taught softball, and I had softball teams here in Montville Township. I helped out on the library committee for a while when the superintendent couldn't attend. And I was a part of the 4th of July committee too. So really, Montville has been my home. I spent many more hours here than any place else ever in my life. And I totally enjoyed this experience. Montville has been very good to me. I've enjoyed my time here, and I really thank all of you for making this part of this my Montville dream. Thank you so much.
Anyone would like to say anything? Mike?
Thanks. I guess I'll be the first to start here. Mary Ann, your tenure here has been remarkable. Hilldale's always been such a warm school, and that's a largely part to you. We're going to miss you. We're going to miss your service. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us.
Any other board members? If not, I will recess. Charlie?
At the meeting where we had the skit put on by the teachers, I made some comments, but I would also like to congratulate Mary Ann. I've known her many, many years in different capacities, as a board member, as a friend, a member of the committees, and I think that you saw tonight when she made a little comments that she wasn't just involved in the school system. She was involved in a lot of the town activities. Anytime people needed help, she was there. And I think Montville was very fortunate to have her as their employee for 45 years. And I know, I was kidding her before, the pension checks have already started coming in. And it's a well-deserved retirement, Mary Ann, and the best of everything. And I hope to still see you down at the Montville Diner on Saturday mornings, okay?
That's a day.
At this time, we're going to recess the meeting, and I would invite everyone to come to the media center, where we will do a short presentation and unveiling of the plaque.
So as Dr. Cordolino has expressed, we're delighted that you came this evening to, in fact, give tribute to Mary Ann and her long, wonderful career here in the Montville Township Schools. And I think also Karen said it best when she talked about the media center being the center of learning. And so we're very, very pleased and proud to be able to make this dedication. And with that, I'd ask Dr. Cordolino to please unveil the plaque.
Ready?
Gary, I think we'll want your pictures, so why don't you stand on the side of it?
I'm trying to find my camera. For those of you who can't see it from here, it just says Montville Township Board of Education, Mary Ann Sincere Media Center, 45 years of service to the Montville Township Public Schools, dedicated September 24th, 2013. Yay. And one of the things I did want to say is that this is one of the first times when something has been dedicated to someone that person is still alive. I'm really happy to be here to see it. I thank you very, very much. And I'll always be part of Montville Township.
It's just a little something from my class, we wanted to honor you a little bit more. Just so you know a little bit, last year in 3rd grade we talked about writing persuasive essays, and we wrote them starting in November, but toward the end of the year I wanted to review them a little, and I thought that maybe this would be something that my students would put their heart into because of how much they were going to miss you, and they kept talking about that. So they really, I'm hoping that they still have the letters and you're going to get a chance to read them because they really did put their heart and soul into trying to do something for you to remember you.
I really appreciate all of your hard efforts. And I remember every single
And
one.
I explained to them that I told them last year, I said, you never know. You never know what your letters are going to do. So we proved that 21 letters can do that.
Hey guys,
We want to back up, we want the plaque in it.
So in just a moment, the Board of Education is going to continue its meeting, but certainly stay and socialize at your stay. Our parent meeting is Thank you.
I don't know, but these have been pictures and I don't want to go.
Yeah, but now I can see. Where's Bella? Louis. Now we can't see Louis.
Yeah, wait a minute, duck down a little.
I was going to say, Kyle, maybe duck down. You're a lot bigger than Anthony.
Sorry. I don't want to get anybody.
Yeah, we should.
We're back. We'll move into the superintendent's report.
Good evening. Well, the first item on my report, of course, is already happening. So we're very, very pleased that we moved forward on that initiative. The first few weeks of school, with regard to our academic programs, have been off to a smooth start. We're very, very pleased to have our new administrators in place, and we're moving forward on a new teacher evaluation plan. Although we do find some, I guess, bumps in the road with regard to Teachscape, and that is happening all over the state of New York at this point in time. The Commissioner's Office is very concerned as well, and is working closely with Teachscape to try to iron some of those things out. In the meantime, I want to compliment Dr. Shorter for taking the initiative to move the observation process forward using the old-fashioned paper and pencil method, if you will, so that we can begin to start our observation process. Some of our administrators have more than 100 observations to do this year. So at this point in time, to get them done on or around beginning, middle of April, that's almost one per day. So we certainly want to move forward with that right away, and we're going to go ahead and do that. The area that I do want to address, though, which has given us some cause for concern, is our busing. We have certainly been off to a rocky start with regard to our busing situation for a variety of reasons. One has to do with the construction projects that have, the road construction projects that have come our way rather unexpectedly at both the county level and then more recently the township level. The project for Route 202 or Main Road, I understood initially was going to start today go on for about 8 days, but we found out today it's not starting until Thursday, and then again moving forward for about 8 days. That affects 33 separate bus routes in 5 of our schools. Beyond that, we do think that we may have some areas that we do need to correct. It's hard to understand exactly what those corrections should be when we're still facing those road paving obstacles as well. It's hard to know what to tweak, it's hard to know what to recommend to the board with regard to the routes that we presently have, when we also have the challenges of the road construction in front of us. But this is certainly an area that we're concerned with each and every day. We're working closely with all of our principals, taking careful records, and I think as recently as today, Jim Tevis, who oversees our transportation department and our director of transportation, has become aware of some areas where further corrections to bus schedules can take place to again help with the timeliness of our runs, particularly at Lazar Middle School. With regard to whether or not this is as good as it gets, our answer is absolutely not. We believe we can improve in that area, and we are certainly focused and dedicated to doing so. We would, however, have to ask for at least a little bit of patience as the road construction projects hopefully come to an end within the next week and a half to 2 weeks, as the project on Route 202 begins and ends, and then we will have a much better idea of the things that we have to correct, and we're certainly pledged to do so in a very timely manner.
Any questions for
Let me mention one other area, just so, which I should mention in the first part about our schools. Over the summer, as we began to move towards some of our academic initiatives, new teacher evaluation system with the Danielson model and TeachScape being one of them, we also are moving forward on the Common Core curriculum, as the board knows. And I believe in the last 2 meetings, Andrea Salvaggi is our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction, who oversees the curriculum writing projects. Was it 109? Is that accurate?
Yes, 75 ones, about a little over 100.
Okay. So over the summer, our wonderfully dedicated teachers wrote and revised over 100 of our curriculum within the district in a variety, as you can imagine, of important subject areas. And the board over the last 2 meetings has approved those. So we're very, very pleased that we were moving our curriculum writing initiative forward with that kind of pace, and that we in fact have those important documents in place and they're being used by our teachers.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Frank. Committee reports, finance and facilities, Charlie?
We met last week, however, the minutes are not complete yet, so I'd like to hold that report off until our next meeting on the 8th. Okay?
CIT? Not since the last board meeting. Policy.
Okay, the policy committee met on September 17th, discussed a couple of policies. First one we discussed is policy 5120, which is a revised policy for assignment of pupils. We discussed the fact that, consistent with New Jersey statutes, when you have twins in grades K through 8, they need to be placed in accordance with the request of the parents. And 9 through 12, the parent should make a request, but it's up to the principal to make the final decision, depending on what's in the best interest of the student and the school. Next part of that policy was discussing incoming transferring pupils, that if pupils in one school transfers to another, and, I'm sorry, my mistake. We said that students should be placed in the school which they transfer into, but provided that there's room in the school. If there's not room in the school and we have to put them in another school, the district is responsible to supply the transportation, so that's a change. Policy number 5533, pupil smoking revised, expanded the definition of smoking to include electronic smoking devices and clarifies the definition of school grounds to include grandstands, sport buildings, and things of that nature. Policy 5200, attendance, the regulation was changed to allow for an allotment of up to 3 excused absences per school year for visits to an institution of higher learning. Policy number 3144, a new policy, 3144.12, certification of teacher tenure charges for inefficiency. It's statutory, it's not mandatory that we have a penalty policy, but the stress estimate recommended that we have one because of the importance of it. So it sets forth things such as if a teacher is ineffective or partially effective for 2 consecutive years, then of course they come up on tenure charges. New policy for suspension upon certification of tenure charges, 3144.3. It's a new policy guide which really just incorporates the statute. Policy 5514, pupil use of vehicles, modifies to exclude the requirement that students have to successfully complete a course in driver education, because apparently you can get a license without completing a course in driver's education. So that's it.
Any questions?
My first, the first one is just an observation on policy 5120, because in our schools that has not been the procedure that we follow. In the elementary school, we usually separate twins. So has there been a study by the state that said that it's better to have them together? Is that why they're recommending this?
There's been a lot of studies with regard to twins over the years. I don't think that the studies have all been uniform in terms of their outcomes, but I think that the commonality between all of the studies is for at least the most recent studies I've read. This hasn't been for several years, I have to admit, but the most recent studies that I read actually thought that the decision was better left to the parents in the younger grades. Now, at that point, it wasn't defined what that meant exactly. Was it K through 2? Was it kindergarten? Now again, further studies perhaps have been made. I don't know if Andrea's been more familiar with something recently than I've been. But as the board knows, I spent most of my career as an elementary principal and looked at this issue very carefully, because for a very long time, the sense was that schools knew best, and that separating twins in school was the wiser thing to do. But again, studies began to come out and say that's not necessarily true, that parents of those twins have a better perspective about what's best for them. So I'm not surprised to hear this coming forward.
Very interesting. I actually have one, thank you, that's great. I actually have one more question on the policy regulation attendance. I'm thrilled to see that there have been given 3 excused absences per year for visits to college visits, institutions of higher learning. And I didn't get a chance to read through the whole policy, but is there going to be specific required paperwork that the child will have to hand in order to get the excused absence? And will that be in the policy, or is that just going to be part of our
I would defer to Casey on what might be required. I would just imagine that they would probably ask students to bring back some sort of acknowledgement from the admissions office or something that they in fact paid a visit. But Casey, what's your sense of that? Like a form or something to be signed that the student was present on the campus?
Just to note, Jackie, at the meeting before the last, when the high school administration was present, the benchmark letter was going to change too. I mean, that's not really something that's in policy or regulation, but the high school acknowledged that the benchmark letter would change and would include absences that would be considered excused via the regulation, which the benchmark letter does now. So parents would be getting less, fewer number of letters. Yeah. There's no communications from the meeting recently, or the last between the 2 meetings on ad hoc. Yes, Charlie.
I know at the last meeting, it was reported that we were looking at having moving up day, oriented, whatever you call it, from the middle school to have it sooner in the school year. I know I was talking to Superintendent Reesley, and that's still on schedule to have it before the holidays, right? You're just settling down?
Well, this is under discussion, but I have brought it to the attention of our Director of Guidance to look at that as something that could be very worthwhile to us, to be able to in fact talk to our 8th grade students early in the year instead of waiting until the spring.
No, because after the last meeting, it was communicated to me by people at the meeting that they thought it was a great idea, and maybe by doing this earlier, we could quote, let people know how great the high school is, and I would like to keep this on the burner, if you will, because I think it's a no-brainer myself, but I'll keep bringing it up to remind you.
Absolutely.
Ad hoc committee, hopefully John's safety and security has been met. Lazar Plainfield relocation, we did meet yesterday. And we continue to explore options, we're not prepared really at this point to offer any resolution, but we are getting closer to, I would say, formulate some plans. Any delegate liaison reports? New Jersey, drug awareness, recreation, Mustangs is...
Mustangs meet on October 2nd for the first time.
Morris County School Boards is holding a meeting Thursday, the 26th. The keynote speaker will be, the keynote program will be legal issues in special education, and it is notable that that presentation will be delivered by Short Simon, our own attorneys, by Nathaniel Simon and Paul Kalak. So we look forward to that on Thursday. Any PTC liaisons? Hilldale Valley Group? Jackie?
Was that Lazar? Let's see. Sharon had made her report and said it was a good opening, which was good to hear. And Mr. Pacelli had mentioned some of the questioning issues that we have already discussed. And he did say that many of the teachers had stayed extra time to help with the dismissal of the students, so I think we will appreciate that. The PTC also has some interesting news. They are using their website now, and something called PayNet, so that parents can actually pay for their bus books and their membership, PTC memberships and everything just right through the website, which I thought was a great idea. And several of our supervisors were there, which was nice. We were language, humanities, fine performing arts, math and science, so I think we'll appreciate showing up there as well. That was good. It was a good meeting.
Thank you, Jackie. I attended the Cedar Hill meeting on the 16th of September, and very similar report. It was good opening to school. We touched on air conditioning, and that's moving forward. The new keyboarding was spoken of and was appreciated by the parents present, and the Cedar Hill Home and School offered up a schedule of their upcoming activities. Their next meeting is October 16th. Any other liaison? I think the Mustangs are meeting on, the high school's meeting on Thursday. At this time, I'll open up for public participation. If there's anything on the agenda. Okay, seeing none. Entertain a motion for items I through O.
Second.
Any questions on I? Jay? Okay. F? Just to go back to J, just just for the public's sake, I'm sure you noticed, but J5 is the resolution dedicating the media center to Ms. Sincere. Anything on L? M? Yes.
I just wanted to make a comment on, I'm just trying to find it.
Excuse me, we are not able to hear. Can you use the mic?
It's all right, I can't even find it. It's okay, go ahead, I can't find it.
Any questions on N? No addendum tonight. Okay. N O. Roll call, please.
Mr. Grau?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzacara?
Yes.
Mr. Morello?
Abstain on I, yes on everything else.
Mrs. Ritchell?
Yes.
Dr. Kane?
Abstain on I, meeting minutes, both meetings are August 27th, yes,
Dr. Cordellino?
Yes.
Motion's passed.
Thank you. Any old business?
Can I just make a comment since I couldn't find it in the, I just wanted to thank Jim for his persistence and getting those, that grant money from us, from government. We've been working on that money from Lazar. This was when we did our expansion, and took over the board offices and made them into the 8th grade classrooms. And the state had promised that they would, I think it was 40%, is that what it was?
40%, that's
40%,
correct.
and so we now have that money, so.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now we're going after the big one, the high school from 2001. That's the next goal, the last old one to go after, so we're working on that.
Under additional reports, I'll just report that tomorrow night, the small committee of the board is having a joint meeting with Pequannock and Lincoln Park, just to see if explore areas of perhaps sharing, and just to find out the network and to understand things that they may be doing in their school districts that we may want to do in ours. We're also conducting a joint Board of Education and Township Committee subcommittee meeting on October 1st. So we'll be reporting back on those two. Under general board comments, Mr. Grau, you had a question about President, Council, Board of Education liaison.
Well, this was discussed a while ago, and I know it's the president's choice, and I just figured that nothing had been done. If we don't want to do it, doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I mean, my recollection was that we didn't talk about it, but, I mean, does anyone else have any sentiment about having a liaison or not having a liaison?
Well, our superintendent is there, correct?
Yes.
I think that pretty much goes the lead.
Under general board?
Yes, Charlie. So, just,
After our last meeting.
I just want to make it clear, so that the consensus of the board is not to have a PPC, yeah, President's Council liaison, okay.
After the last meeting, I went home next day or two and checked out the board meeting on our website.
Okay.
A lot better than Channel 77. It was very nicely done, and I just wanted to mention that.
Very good, thank you, Charlie.
The acoustics, though, are tough in all of these auditoriums, but maybe we can work on that in the future.
Can I just ask real quick, is it obvious on the
It's on
web?
a link,
It's on, so you get onto the
Montville
website,
website, and then there's a link there.
there's a link that says board meetings?
And they're all listed, so you can go back and see not just tonight's, but you'll see past ones as well if you'd like to. You can watch the series.
I watch them every day.
Don't miss an episode.
Is it HD?
I don't know, is it in HD? No.
on Netflix soon?
Recently, we received an email from Chris Jones from New Jersey School Boards alerting us to the fact that, I don't know how many of the public remember, we certainly remember, school board members, that this year our state aid was increased by $1, but the reality was that it was a net loss because of the School Development Authority assessment had increased. We were looking at probably a $30,000 net loss about. And Assemblyman Jay Weber took notice of that, and through a series of resolutions, hold harmless resolutions in Trenton, they were actually able to prevent that from happening for this year's budget. So because Assemblyman Jay Weber is our representative, we thought it appropriate, and Chris from New Jersey School Boards thought it appropriate, that we thank him in the form of a resolution. So I put that on the table for board discussion.
So moved.
Second.
So Jim, would you please prepare something that we can put on our next board agenda for passage? Thank you.
Time to make sure we don't lose it for next year.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay, I'll open it up to the public for second public participation for anything you'd like to talk about.
Terry Mohadeen, 3 Sylvan Drive, Pinebrook. Dr. Cordelino, I know you don't know where you're relocating the Lazar Field, but do you know, because my son said they're still having gym out back, you know what I'm talking about. Are they just going to keep doing that until the towers are completely out? Do you have any idea on the time frame? How much longer they can play out there?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I think there would be no reason from the board's perspective why children can't go out there right now. The towers are not only not constructed there, they're not live.
Right.
So that's a question I think for Mrs. Carr. In terms of the second, as to when the towers are going to be constructed, is that your question?
Well, I knew that originally, I thought they weren't going to go out there at all this year. I mean, I was actually happy that they're playing outside a little bit.
Yeah. The board's plan was to close the fields once the towers go live.
Okay.
Not just get constructed,
Right.
but go live.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Good evening. Scott McHoppin, also a Recreation Commission member. And I understand that you're having that meeting on October 1st as a joint meeting with the Town Council. And I believe there was a request from the Recreation Commission to have Mary Ann Whitty attend if there was ever any discussions about the Lazar Fields. So I'm just wondering if that is going to be some of the discussion, if she's going to be extended an invite.
We have a fairly extensive agenda. Both bodies submitted agenda items. So that will be discussed among other items. I'm not sure or jump in if you disagree with what I'm about to say, but I'm not sure that we're at a point where, well, let me put it to you this way, Scott. Better said this way. We are very sensitive to the fact that recreation needs to be involved in this process. And we want their input, and we'll invite them to give us their input. But I think we're at such a rudimentary stage right now that there's like nothing to talk about yet.
Okay, I guess I was just confused by the statement that was made earlier that we are getting closer to some type of a proposal or some, I forget the words that you used earlier, with regards to the Lazar Fields and potentially moving to somewhere else. I'm not asking for her to be involved in non-Lazar Field issues and topics, but if it's going to be a discussion item, I would just hope that she could attend at some point for those specific.
She absolutely will.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Debbie Kuzel, 26 Reading Place in Tulaco. And I did want to bring up the busing. I know it's a sore subject. But the only thing I wanted to say is I'm not sure going forward if the board is going to have any contact with the township to try to coordinate things with the beginning of school. The only thing I wanted to say is that if it was possible to mention that they don't start construction on these things until after 8:30, because this is like the second year in a row that my kids have had to walk through and past construction vehicles to get to their buses every day and coming back. I've walked down there, asked them to stop the dump trucks so that they can come back. So I'm not sure if, going forward, if you're going to have some kind of discussion with the town as far as timing with school calendars and things like that, but if it could be mentioned that to not start the projects until after the last buses are loaded.
Just to, and I'm sure it's fairly well known at this point, but the school board not only has no control over the construction schedule, we were informed about it on very short notice. Jim, when did you find out about the construction projects?
I was informed of the two county ones in mid-August, third week of August. I was informed of the Township Road construction project, which involved River Road on September 10th. I did have extensive conversations with the township administrator who understands, our position, and he promised me to work to make sure that didn't happen again, and that they try to schedule the road projects during the summer months so as not to affect.
Okay, so that's what I was saying, is if you're going to have a conversation with them, maybe they can just take that into consideration. And
It is an agenda item for our joint meeting.
Okay, and I do want to say that Tammy's been very wonderful and very kind and very understanding every single time I call her with a problem, so I
Thank
did want
you
to
very much.
Thank
I'll
you.
make sure I extend that to her.
Okay,
She'll
thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
Okay, so if there's no one else, motion to adjourn?
Karen?
Too late.
You gotta be quick.
Hey, Jim Dobson, I'm Vice President of Montville Baseball and Softball Association. Just have a question. You guys spent a ton of money on the varsity field last year. Some of, like our fall teams are playing there. We spent 6 hours there last Saturday, pulling the weeds and getting the field back up to play. I mean, to me, you guys spend the initial money on it, you redid the JV field, and when you drive by there, it looks terrible. I mean, that's the first thing you see when you drive by our, by our school. And to leave them like that after you spent $25,000, I don't understand. Why?
No, I understand your concern. As a matter of fact, it was brought to my attention about 2 weeks ago, and I've already worked to solicit some proposals. Probably within the next week or so, we're scheduling to have it taken care of.
Okay.
We'll keep up on it in the future.
Thank you, Jim.
I'll move it again.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you.